Good morning.
Questions?
One thing just right off the bat to announce Canton Kaumatule is, what is the official term now, medically retired. So they had to shut him down, so he'll remain here on scholarship seeking his degree, but obviously not with the football team. So he and Ratu are kind of in that same category from Ratu from right at the end of tail end of fall camp, and then Canton just most recently. So
Next guy.
Mark, this Stanford-Oregon game is one that's held a lot of weight over the last several years. Doesn't really hold that this year. Does the week feel any different than those previous years against Stanford at all?
it shouldn't, and really it can't. And this team right now needs to step up and improve and compete like heck. Every single day, culminating in Saturday. They're playing a lot better than they have earlier in the year. Made a kind of the quarterback change and then went back to Christ, and they're re-energized, and I think that's combined with getting a healthier McCaffrey, playing really well defensively, causing a bunch of problems for people, and special teams has always been outstanding.
Matt.
Back to defensive lineman, Gary Baker has had to play a lot, maybe because of Canton's injuries. What have you seen from him in his development the last two games, and how did he perform against that USC front?
He did some good things. He's another guy. Wayne Kirby's another guy that have just been young and inconsistent, and pad level. Their pad level's been inconsistent. Kind of fitting has been inconsistent. But those guys, we think, have a very bright future. They just need to play, and particularly that's a difficult lesson when you're going up whoever against a guy like Wheeler or Banner, and if your pads are high, you lose, and you learn that lesson quickly.
Kristen.
I know Christian McCaffrey has been a little banged up this year, but talking with John Neal yesterday, he said that even with him not being completely healthy, it's kind of like fighting Mike Tyson in his 20s. You just kind of have to go out swinging. What have you seen out of him from this season alone?
I think he just hasn't been in there as much, but when he's been in there, he's been fantastic. He broke however many tackles against K-State on that 197-yard punt return that got called back. He's had a bunch of plays like that in the special teams area in the return game, and then also on offense. And so he's looked every bit the weapon. They're using him very similarly to how they have in the past. It's just not as much. I think part of that, maybe due to something they know. Part of that is Irwin and Owusu and some of those other guys that are getting involved. The other tailbacks that have been involved. Love is an outstanding player, 20, and so but they're incorporating him as a wildcat quarterback, moving him all around. Still a returner. He's a very good player.
Your assistant coaches like to use analogies, I guess. Coach Greatwood saying that Solomon Thomas is the straw that stirs the drink up front for Stanford. As you look at a guy like that, I mean, how do you stop a physical presence up front?
See, that's a state of mind of a guy who's working with four freshmen right there. We know where his mind is post practice. No, he's really good. He has always been a significant factor. It looks like he's kind of leaned up a little bit in his playing. He plays kind of on the nose, on the guard, on the tackle outside. They've moved him around, and they have a great package of odd stuff that they do, a great package of 4-3 stuff that they do out of the same personnel. And, he is a huge force for them right now.
Andrew. All right.
Sounds like Jarrett Lacoste is getting some work as Christian McCaffrey on the scout team. Obviously, it's hard to simulate that type of talent with one guy. What are the ways you try to get your defense ready on the scout team level to simulate McCaffrey?
Yeah, I mean, trying to get a fresh guy in there every play as much as possible, which, again, it's hard to simulate, like you said, or emulate that one person. But try to get a fresh guy if he's running a route and then running an inside run play and then running wildcat quarterback. Those are kind of unique skill sets, and try to get somebody fresh that is close to his speed or power or whatever. And then in the return game, just having a total commitment to getting to that guy, getting every person to finish, and because he'll break tackles. He's going to break some tackles.
Next guy.
Going off of Andrew's question there on simulating guys on other teams, it sounded like Nick Saban found a rule where you can bring back former players to run on your practice squad. They brought back Trent Richardson to emulate Leonard Fournette. Have you ever done anything like that, or did you know about that rule?
We have heard about that in the past. We've often joked about guys we'd like to have come back, but yeah, we could use a few extra linemen this week to simulate what they do, and yeah, we'd have to sign some waivers probably, get the insurance side of it taken care of.
Kristen?
Talking more with John Neal yesterday, he said you guys have been maybe doing some more live stuff at practice because of how everything went against USC, maybe not being as fully prepared, and then going into Stanford. Just wondering how preparation, if at all, has changed this week.
It's been similar. I mean, we've taken some spots throughout the year of whatever, a live coverage on John Ross or Dory Jackson, or this week McCaffrey, a different again, just a different set of skills. Sometimes that's the 7 O-lineman unit, the 8 O-lineman unit that they have, and trying to just get our defense to react instantly and play that 3rd and inches, 4th and inches. But we've done something like that each week, and we'll continue to do that.
Andrew?
This doesn't look like a particularly vintage Stanford team in a lot of ways. Is it as simple as saying, the quarterback situation has been odd and going back and forth, and McCaffrey's been hurt? Are you seeing things up front that aren't the typical kind of Stanford, the way they play? Teams have been able to take advantage of.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously outside looking in. There's their diversity of tight ends maybe is different than it has been in the past. How they've deployed guys, in the past they've had 4 or 5 tight ends that were kind of all had their unique role, and so that looks a little bit different. But they can still, get whatever that is, lots of pounds in between the hashes and pound it. They can still spread you out and run it. And I think the quarterback run game, the commitment to how they did a lot of Wildcat last week, commitment to changing all those things up, really, you can see they have a juice about them, a confidence about them that they did not have earlier on film, and it's different.
Ryan, did you have? Yeah.
You guys and the players put so much into this game. How tough are those conversations with a guy like Canton when it comes down to having to make that decision?
Yeah, some of those situations are very easy. Some of those are very hard. There's usually very emotional, but we're always gonna err on the side of the well-being, and sometimes guys want to transfer somewhere else and try to get it one other shot, or find that 3rd or 4th or 5th opinion and try to swerve it in their favor. But they're difficult, no question, and not fun.
Nicole?
Coach, I apologize if this is a hard question to answer, but with so much quote unquote sort of outside noise this season, what would you say is the biggest misconception about either you, your staff, or the team this year?
That's a very difficult question. I have no idea. I really, we just try to talk to our guys. I'll take the heat, whatever that noise is, whatever that all that noise is. Stay off of, Ryan Thorburn's Twitter page, or whoever's bashing me at the time, and trust the voices that matter the most. The voices in this building, the voices on campus, the voices of the people that are trying to make them better, make us better. That's all you can do, and it's the exact same people, the exact same voice that is telling you how great you are when you're maybe not as great as they think you are, and that's where you have to fight through that noise exactly the same. And so I think that's, again, we're frustrated. Everybody's frustrated. Fans are frustrated. No question about that. Okay, what are you going to do about it? And that's what we have to focus on is how we come out and prepare and get ready to play Stanford. Sure.
Back to Sky?
Don't doubt that the coaches work 24/7 to get these guys prepared each week for the game. But after the USC game, Justin Herbert mentioned how he felt underprepared, and then Coach Greatwood even saying today that he's taking the blame for his offensive line feeling underprepared for that one. How do you not let that happen again, and how did that happen against USC?
Well, again, that's manyfold. You know, that answer of the first play of the game on defense is could be a pick, and it turns into a touchdown. So is that, what is that exactly? What is that? Are we in a perfect defensive call? Yes. Do we have to have confidence in execution? Yes. That's like I've said many times. Execution is always on the coaches. Finding a different person to do it, or preparing that person psychologically, mentally to execute it is on us. That will never change. And I think we had a few guys that got rattled a little bit mentally, and that is a byproduct of giving one up early. Just giving up one play early and then letting that creep into every other play from there on out. One play is one play, whether it's a touchdown. If I'm the left tackle and we score a touchdown, I have to play the next play exactly how I do after I give up a sack, and that's easier said than done. That's one of those deals that when you get hit by player A from SC early and you start thinking about that, it's over. Because you half step, or you don't set with confidence or set with proper technique. Those guys are by you, and as soon as that creeped in, then that obviously that affects the run game, that affects the quarterback, and again, that's on me, that's on us as coaches to get those guys to just trust what they've done. Like we talked about going into that week, we kind of thought they'd do what they did, and they did, and we just gotta learn from that and not let it happen again.
You have a question, Matt?
Yeah. You said at the USC game, no margin for error now with 6 losses. How often do you talk about that? Can that maybe become too big of a pressure for guys to handle? Do you guys even address, hey, I can't lose one more time?
Well, that's when, again, we go back to just win the day and focus on right now, because that's what you're always preaching, and reinforcing that the result is something that's down there because of what you're doing right now. And for the guys, of this generation that need that, okay, now it's right before us of, oh, wow, that is true. And again, hopefully that lesson resonates with our guys in February, in March, in April for the next year. And again, that's all part of the process. And again, you see it at every level of teams that are struggling or not where they want to be. So much of it is just the psychology of it in preparation.
Anything else? Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.